Okay, so I'm going to be doing a VOD review for Aomine, I guess. Let's see here. You say you've feel like you've consistently gotten bad teammates. Um, let's see here. Struggling macro-wise. Okay, so part of the thing about playing like a ranked ladder is that sometimes your team will just be worse than the other team. Just by like going over this game, kind of glancing through it, I think your team was probably worse than the other team, but maybe not so much that it was unlosable, right? There were a few times they got entry picks themselves, but they also, like you said, did get entry picked a lot. Part of it's like their fault, but a lot of it's also your fault, right? And the entire point of trying to improve and rank up is not trying to strive for like an 100% win rate, right? Like if I were put in your games on tank, right? I think you said this is Platinum 3. And I just could not win, or like somewhere around mid-high plat, right? And I just could not gain or lose SR like at all, or like rank points or percentages, whatever you want to call it. I would not have an 100% win rate myself, right? I mean, it would be very high, like probably 90% plus, right? But sometimes like my teammates would just be like so clueless, right? Um, like people doing placements, stuff like that, where or I'll have levers or actual trolls or like some smurf will be in the enemy team, right? And there's just too much out of my control where I can't like do anything. For reference, like I'm a top 500 tank player, right? So like yeah, I'm not striving to have like an 100% win rate. I'm striving to like do my job as well as I can in a game and like try to take as many opportunities as possible, right? And that should kind of be your mindset too, right? Not just like thinking I have to win every game. Sometimes you can do everything right and lose, right? I mean, like, um, obviously in like Plat, you're not doing everything right, but just like eventually it's gonna happen, right? No one can have an on 100% win rate forever, right? Unless they're literally cheating, right? Like if you take like a top 10 player right now and give them aimbot, maybe they'll have something close to an 100% win rate, right? Um, but that's like how absurd you have to like go to even like accomplish it, right? Especially there's just too many factors out of your control in these games where you should not strive to win every game, but you should be striving to improve every game, if that makes sense, right? Um, yeah. Anyways, let's see here. You say this game was a roll and you couldn't do anything. Your DPS were dying, right? Like I said earlier, yeah, they were just getting randomly picked sometimes, but you were also contributing kind of to like the bad state of the game, right? Now I'll get into this in a second. Let me just keep reading the rest of this. You said you're working on consistent stuff to work on. Yeah, right. And it says your hero pool is Hazard, Sig, Zarya, Junker, Queen, Ram. I would say that's probably a bit large of a hero pool. Generally speaking, you're looking to play like a lot of people say 3 tanks, but generally speaking, if you're trying just to rank up, right, and improve, I'd pick 1 to 2. But if you really wanted to, you could pick a tank for like brawl, right? Out of your lineup, it's kind of like Queen and Ramatra kind of brawl tanks, right? I mean Zarya kind of ish, right? Hazard's kind of your only dive tank, and Sig and Zarya are like your poke tanks, right? So you could like kind of narrow it down if you'd like. Um, if your goal is to improve first and foremost, right? I generally expect people to like try to focus on 1 to 2 tanks, but like playing one of every like category also works, right? Depending on the map and the actual like matchup situation. Um, but yeah. Anyways, I went ahead and watched most of this replay, and I think right now the things you're struggling with most are your cooldown usages, right? On Ramatra, this is gonna have to be pretty general at first. I'll go in more in depth and like the plays you make here. On Ramatra, you're kind of wasting your shield a lot, and in Zarya, you're just not getting charge out of your bubbles soon enough, and it allows the people like to walk over you, right? Um, Secondly, your second problem is that your spacing needs some work, right? And I'll like go through this really in depth on this first fight here. When you make contact with a Rein, the entire point of a lot of tanks, right, is to play the effective range of your own tank, but play outside the effective range of the other tank or the other characters that you're engaging in, so they don't get like maximum value or sometimes any value at all, right? And this may seem kind of like or sound kind of esoteric, but basically what it means is like on Ramatra, you have more range than Reinhardt, right? I'm gonna show you this very soon. But like your range is like 8 meters for your punches, right? And Reinhardt's swing range is 5 meters, right? So when you walk in the like the 6 to 8 meter range and punch Reinhardt, there's literally nothing he can do to you, right? Because you're just outside of his range perpetually, and he can do literally 0 damage to you unless he pins you or like commits pin or fire strike, right? Which if he does that in the middle of your entire team, he's just gonna explode, right? Like he has to hold shield if he's picking your entire team to do that, right? But the moment you walk inside of his swing range, he's just going to do more DPS than you, and you can't escape him anymore, right? So when you do stuff like this, you're just taking a ton of unnecessary damage, and just like setting yourself up to either force cooldowns or force a ton of attention onto you from your supports and away from your DPS, so they have a higher likelihood of getting picked. And I hope that makes sense, right? You want to do your best on tank to always get as much value as you can and deny as much value from the enemy tank as possible, right? And that doesn't necessarily mean like hard focusing the Rein. That just means staying away from him so he literally cannot do damage, right? Yeah. Thirdly, you need to pay more attention to the number situation in the game, right? There are a lot of opportunities or a lot of situations in this game where you're down 2 players and you continue to push, or you're up, or yeah, you continue to push, or you just hold your ground and don't back up. And there are also opportunities when a lot of the enemy team is dead and you don't push forward, right? As your responsibility on tank is to pretty much be as aggressive as possible, because you can win every single 1v1 in the game, right? When people are overextended, right, like on Ramatra, you have 500 HP, you have a shield, you have your Nemesis for him, and you have a Vortex, right? Literally, you can win a 1v1 if you time it correctly against literally every character that's not a tank in this game, right? I mean, I guess against like Pharah, I guess you can. It might be trickier, but you get the picture, right? When you have these advantages, you need to press them so the enemy team doesn't have a chance to regroup and like chase stagger kills, so to speak, right? Don't I know, like in principle, you should let your it should be good to let your team get some kills to not give up like card presence. But if your team is not chasing the kills, you have to be the one to ignore the cart, kill the people, so you just like control the game so much that your team can just park one and cart the entire game because you're consistently like just like staggering people, right? That's like kind of what you want to do to climb on tank, especially in lower ranks, right? Here, like nothing you can really do about this, right? I wouldn't necessarily be doing this, the shield. I don't think it's the first thing, because you see what she's doing right now. Like, she's just literally walking by, right? And this is why I don't advise, generally speaking, shielding the Widow. Because she can just do this, or just walk away from it, right? And just re-peek when it expires. And it's a pretty long cooldown for you, right? It's not like Sig Shield where you can just throw it up, put it back, and then put it up 2 seconds later. You don't have it for another 8 seconds after it expires, right? Like, you see it's already gone, and it's only, you still have a 10 seconds on the cooldown, right? And unfortunately, your Ashe loses the 1v1 anyways. Yeah, you see like, unfortunate, nothing you can really do about that. But the mistake here you made, it seems really small. The mistake you made is you keep peeking in against like this team when there's literally nothing you can do right now. But you're down both your DPS, right? What you should be doing is just sitting behind cart, so you take 0 damage yourself. Take 0 resources from your team, right? I mean, you can spam the Widow, just like spam this angle so she can't peek for free. And just push cart and get ready to back up if you get hard pushed by the Reinhardt right now. Because like now, since you extended beyond the cart, you kept pushing when you're down 2. Now you're like making the mistake of not, like spacing yourself well from this Reinhardt. You see, like this is not where you want to be, right? When you're in Nemesis form, you don't want to block, right? If you block, if you have no choice, if you're going to die, you block, right? If you're going to take a ton of damage, you block. But you want to just be punching, right? You want the full offensive value of your cooldowns. You just don't want to use them to survive because you have no choice. Obviously here, I'm sure you can see, in retrospect, you had a choice by not walking in to not take any damage from this Reinhardt. Right? And he's giving you opportunities to keep running away, and you're just not taking it, right? You're just going to die. That's the result, right? You see, like, once he starts swinging on you, you just can't get rid of him, right? And that's because you were down 2 players, right? Your Mercy had a res. I'm sure you can imagine, right? if you just played your life and literally just held S with the Reinhardt pinned in, your Sombra would have gotten this pick, and you can immediately start like pressuring the Rein right now, and just start pushing their team, and use the fact that your team got the intro pick to keep walking forward, right? Dying is just like something you want to avoid at all costs. This is fine. Here, I would have kept trying to shoot her because she doesn't have LOS of anyone, so she can't like Valkyrie away or anything. So you just don't want to waste it. It's okay to use that to like secure the kill. Unfortunate, right? Unfortunately, your Mercy is res. Yep. So here, right? This is a position you're down 2. Get off cart, right? Or sorry, you're up 2. I can't believe I just said that. You're up 2, right? I mean, like their Mercy's technically alive, but you can see she's just walking out of spawn now. But their Reinhardt's down right now. What you need to be doing now is just walking in. For example, here fighting the Torb, right? You know, you can position here so the Widow can't really shoot you, right? Or just keep walking in, you know, opening up the angle, putting a shield here, you know, for example, or walking this side, right? I'd prefer you probably walk in main just so you distract the Widow if you're Ashe, right? And you can stay in the LOS of your Ana more easily. But this side is nice because you can just walk up here, right? Shoot the turret as you walk and just immediately come up top left and start pressuring this Widow immediately, right? This Widow has been a problem like all game. And the more chances or the more time you spend like focusing her and not letting her take her angles is more time where like you just don't let her get it. Like, ignore the turret right now. This is not a good use of your time, right? Again, right, you don't want to be on cart. You see the Rein is charging back. You had like 10-15 seconds there to kind of move wherever you wanted. You just need to take the opportunity to do so. Again, right, I will say when Rein is sitting on cart, you just want to ignore him, right? He's probably the best tank at just stalling the objective in the game. He's just going to waste all your time and give the Widow a billion opportunities to like kill your team. Just walk by him or shoot literally anyone else, right? Like he's never going to die. Unfortunately, like, especially with your lineup, right? You're on like Sombra, Ashe, and both of them don't have like the best shield break. And of course, Mercy doesn't do anything herself. You're just gonna literally be spending like half a minute shooting this guy's shield, and he's just gonna sit behind cover the entire time. You just had to do something else, and when he was dead, right? I would say you also had an opportunity to fall back. You were even spamming like or pinging fall back. Once I think Ashe died, right? And you just kept sitting in the open trying to shoot the Rein shield, right? Instead of actually falling back and looking for someone to overextend. When you're down in numbers, you have to like fall back and look for an alternate route so you can like try to catch someone else that overextends, right? And now you're down effectively 3 players right now, so you're just gonna die. Okay, I guess they let you get out. And if you see this guy main, just walk by him, right? For something else, you just have to do your best to walk by him. I will say, because you keep peeking main, you're letting this Widow just farm you, right? Because you're just peeking the exact same angle over and over again. Like, I'll show you from her POV what this looks like. Just like keep peeking the same angle. I mean, you can say you're distracting her. But you see, once she shoots you once, right, she no longer has to worry about you pushing, because now you have to sit around and wait to get healed, right? So she can immediately just start looking at a different angle if you get shot too early. Definitely could have shielded earlier there, right? You're just kind of shielding way too far away from yourself. When really you should be like shielding around corners, just so you have the most ability to peek, right? Like, you see when you shield here, if the Torb wants to shoot you, this is literally all he has to do, right? But when you shield here, right, you pretty much block off this entire lane. And if the Torb wants to shoot you, he has to walk all the way where he is now, right? Or he has to like, I don't know the exact like spacing, or like literally walk through the shield to try to shoot you, right? And that's kind of like a common recurring problem here, where you're just kind of like over peaking, or sorry, like putting your shield too far, and it's like kind of costing you, right? This is fine here, right? There's really no reason to pop ult here. You you're still pretty healthy, right? You're still like 700 HP, and you still have like literally like 300 armor, right? Your punch mode goes out, but you still have nano. Just shoot the guy that can't literally even shoot right now. Literally just like walk into this guy and shoot him in the head. He's LOSing his Kiri, and his Kiri is like worried about like avoiding you rather than like trying to kill the Torb, right? I understand not trying to kill the Rein earlier because the Mercy was available right here. I think it's fine just to ignore the Rein if he just wants to pin all the way behind. It's unfortunate. An alternative is you could have just gone all the way behind to kill the Rein, but then you wouldn't have this opportunity to like kill these people because you would have just been too far away. Yeah, no real reason to be blocking here. Like this guy isn't an overload, just literally punch him. See, like, he literally did nothing to it. Again, right? You're up players, just get off the card. Help your Sombra and like just go up and try to kill this whatever. Now he's just gonna sit on card. This is a problem, right? Like you still have an opportunity. You see, I'll rewind this, right? Not enough apparently. Sure, you can't get up fast enough to help your Sombra maybe. You see, you kind of waste your Vortex, but you already had an opportunity just to literally hold S from the Rein so he can't hit you at all, right? And now if you didn't waste your Vortex and you see the Kiri drop down, you could just Vortex her and shoot her in the head and she dies, right? Or it opens up an opportunity for your team to kill her, right? Shield's also useless, no one's shooting you right now. The only person that can shoot you is a Kiriko, right? Right? Just ignore the cart. If he's gonna sit cart, literally just walk by him. That's how you open space, right? When you sit on cart, literally all this guy has to do to win the game, especially if his team is like getting the intro pick consistently, is literally just AFK here. Like he doesn't even have to peek, and he'll just win if you just don't get off cart, right? What do you do to make space? Is keep opening the angle here for your team, and shoot these people away, so your team is allowed to take any angle here, like in this area that they want. Because you're holding everyone in this choke point right here. You see, like if, let's say you just magically teleport right here, right now, you can occupy the space of both their supports and both their DPS, and that means your team has literally 0 angles except card to worry about right now, right? I mean, I guess the Torb turret too, technically, but I'm sure you can imagine, like, no one's dying to a Torb turret in neutral, right? And if they do, like, your team is literally, like, gold, bronze or something, right? And unfortunately, that's just kind of unwinnable, so, like you see, you're just kind of stalling right now, but I just walk forward. I just do your best to control this room. Right? Just kind of wasted a lot of time sitting back. You still have like opportunities to walk forward and try to do something, right? Again, wait, useless shield, right? They're just gonna literally walk by. Right? This Torb is just shooting the shield for some reason. Like this guy has literally no reason to do this. I'm like pretty sure he's just shooting the shield. Okay, no, he actually just walked by. Yeah, it's even worse for you, right? Like, you see how useless your shields are? Like, they're literally doing nothing. Again, right, you're getting too close, right? I know this guy is purpled, but they also have Suzu on their team, right? And now you're point blank to him. Like, you see you're literally, like, colliding models with them, and that's not where you need to be, right? You don't do more damage by being closer, and you're not going to be you're just giving him the opportunity to turn around and start swinging on you. Or he starts doing damage to you instead of delivering zero damage, right? Shield's okay, you're down your Sombra. I don't think you had to back up this much, right? You're only down 1, there's a chance you still turn the fight. Pushing your Ana's like, I don't know why she's there. She had like a million opportunities to run away too. Probably should have reacted to the guy, but whatever. You have to wait for your Ana to spawn. This is okay, right? Again, right, you see you make, again, the mistake of walking to this corner right here and letting the Rein just turn the corner and start swinging on you. Really, what you need to do is literally just stand here and spam, right? If you walk this way, you have cover, and the Rein can't walk onto you. And if you get really low for whatever reason, you just duck here and you just can't get shot anymore at all, right? So, like, just like not paying attention to your spacing is just making you take like literally double the damage you should be taking, right? And it's forcing out a ton of your cooldowns, right? Ignore the Rein. Your Sombra also EMP'd this Torb, right? And he just literally walked in like this, right? Just ignore the Rein, shoot this guy instead. He'll just die in like a hit or two because he's so weak and he's just LOSing himself from his supports, right? Okay, I hope this isn't a very long game and it's not like the most competitive, But I'm sure you can see there's still a lot I'm picking out from this replay where you can easily like make like slight adjustments sometimes and just do so much more, right?
I bear my burdens.
Just getting forward a bit here, right?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Stop the payload. Them in their tracks. Particle interface. Translated.
I don't like that bubble because you weren't getting shot. They end up shooting you anyways. That's okay though. No need to bubble this guy, right? No one was shooting him. He's happened to eat random spam. Right, this is kind of a problem. Generally speaking, when you use 2 bubbles, you want to be like a bit higher charge, right? I don't think 40 is the end of the world, but I'd like to be looking at least 60, right? And I think you had better opportunities to kind of like greed, especially your second bubble. And just let your Hanzo take the, I don't know, 50-ish, 100 damage or whatever it was on him, and just get healed by your Zen or Ana, and look for a better opportunity, like Hanzo commits Storm Arrow or something, just wildly spamming. Rein commits another Fire Strike, something along those lines, right? When you have no bubbles and like no charge, you can't afford to be this close, right? What you need to be doing is playing out here and just like playing obviously close to cover, but not hugging the wall. Just play here and just continuously shoot the Rein so he can't walk forward for free, right? You force him to sit behind the cart, or just waste all of his shield HP, right? That's alright. Can't really do anything about that. Again, right, you notice the spacing problem yet again. See, this is okay, right? This is an opportunity for you to bubble right now and get 45 charge, right? And this right here is the reason I think your team's probably worse than the other team. You see your team has literally 0 angles, and the enemy team was always taking angles. But that's kind of besides the point, right? That's just one way to tell. In general, it's nothing to sweat about, and I'm sure you can see there's like a lot you can be doing better to like more consistently carry your games and rank up, right? Anyways, that's beside the point, right? You see right now, you standing here literally like half a second ago is like really good because the Rein can't swing on you. You jumping up here so the Rein can swing on you is a troll move, right? You already have a source of charge, literally like you're standing in it right now, right? There's no reason to be walking this Rein so he can just swing on you and just waste all your resources, right? I will say, right? I didn't realize you used both bubbles there, right? So we will rewind that again. I was too focused on the space issue. And you use both bubbles here. No reason to do this, right? When you have 0 bubbles, you're incredibly easy to walk into, right? Especially you just use double bubble in front of their face when the Rein was already swinging on you. So like there's literally no reason for these people not just to hold W right now, right? You just have no sustain abilities anymore. So you're just giving these people a free ability to walk into, right? You need to play further back when you're low on charge, when you're low on charge, low on bubbles, or low on charge, high on bubbles, or high on charge, low on bubbles, right? The only time you can really aggress in Zarya effectively is, I mean, this is a general sense. Like if you need to push like their entire team, this is kind of what it's for. When you're like forcing 1v1s, you can be more lenient with these rules, right? But you need to have both high bubbles and high charge to be like aggressing really close like this, right? Zarya, especially. This is why I say people think she's a Brawl tank, but you see when you're trying to play Brawl against like a better Brawl team, even though their team really isn't Brawl, but like their tank is, right? You're just getting walked over because you're just not tanky enough, right? You really want to be playing in like your max effective range. So you're forcing people into like the open where they don't want to be. Like Rein wants to be playing around these really close corners where you can just sit here and just like indefinitely just like peek every once in a while and just swing on you, right? But when you force him in the open, right, you're just wasting all of his shield. And again, he's getting no value because I mean he's getting some by shielding his team. But you have cover, right, to avoid that, right? But you are also getting way more value because you're stopping him from walking forward, literally just because you're permanently shooting him, and he can do 0 damage, right? If he fire strikes, he just takes like almost 200 damage per second just because you're beaming him, right, at full charge. And you're just not letting that happen by just aggressing at the wrong times, right? So you have no bubbles, you're just letting him walk in. Unfortunately, nothing you can really do here. Especially on Zarya, the problem is when you waste bubbles like that too early, right? You're just stuck in a perpetually, I mean this goes for all tanks actually, but it's especially important on Zarya, right? If you waste bubbles like this, right, you're just going to be stuck in a perpetual like bad scenario where you're just never going to have enough bubbles to sustain yourself if they just continue walking forward, right?
The
Yeah.
payload is approaching its
Kind of an
destination.
unfortunate fight loss, right? I mean,
Lock and reload.
just for anyone else watching, I'll show you like the overhead. I'm sure you can see you made a lot of mistakes here, right? Which kind of allowed the enemy team just to walk forward for free, right? Um, but like overhead, like this is not just for like anyone else watching it, like on DPS, especially with like a Zarya, you see everyone's literally just peeking this Hanzo over and over again, like in the same damage lane, right? This is not what you want to be doing. Especially if you're running like a poke comp, like with Zarya, right? I mean, your team is pretty much like I wouldn't say quintessential poke comp, but it's like very obviously poke, right? What you want to be doing is having, for example, someone set up over here, watching this doorway here, taking an angle here. I mean, maybe up here, for example, right? It doesn't have to be like literally right here. You know, someone takes an angle, for example, here, right? Watches main. Someone takes an angle here, right? Watches like the Hanzo angle, shoots the shield a bit, right? Maybe someone takes an angle, like, I don't know, further back, right? So they have better access to high ground or something, but can still heal your main, right? That's somewhere where your Ana could play and recover here-ish, right? Something like that. Or like all the way back here, right? These are options. Not all stacked in one angle, right? This is like not what you want to be doing. This is like especially important on like DPS and like more DPS focused supports, and especially like Zen, even Ana, right? You don't want to sit in like a line, right? I'll just show you from like this POV. Then they're really close too. They're making the same mistake of you of not spacing correctly. And just eating a ton of damage for no reason. One, because they're not spaced correctly, and two, they're literally on the same angle, right? So the Rein just fire strikes this angle here, right? And now you see the additional problem is because no one's holding this lane right here or this angle. Now the Sojourn flanks for free, right? And part of it's because you're down one, but your Ashe is literally just watching this angle too. I mean, you can see it right there. And the Sojourn walks in for free and just kills your entire team, right? Like, or has the opportunity to kill your entire team for free, right? I don't know why no one's shooting her. I don't know why she gives it up. Right, just for future reference for everyone else. Anyways, all right, focusing back on you. What you can do in the future, right? Really look at your cooldowns, right? Actually, I completely forgot to mention. Coincidentally, I just put out a like basic Zarya gameplay guide where I kind of go over like where I'm spacing and like how I'm positioning based on my charge and bubbles. And you could probably look through like, I don't know, 5-ish minutes of that of gameplay if you'd like to have like an idea of like how I'm spacing myself. And I do get counterpicked like every single game, right? They're just constantly going like really tanky tanks or like Winston. So like it also gives me maybe ideas of how like I force counterplay in my counters or whatever. And it might help you like spacing on Zarya in particular, like how to use bubbles on Zarya in particular, right? Yeah, just how like how much slower I take fights in Zarya, right? Yeah. So anyways, firstly, you need to look at your cooldown usage, right? I gave you a lot of like optimizations and like I guess advice on how to use your cooldowns more effectively on both Ramattra and Zarya. Secondly, look at your spacing, right? Especially against tanks, right? You really want to be denying as much of their value as possible based on your exact like micro positioning almost, right? Like I said, the Ramatra's range is longer than Ryan's range. So there's literally never a reason to get close to him, right? Unless he's like very easily killable. Third, right, work on your ability to like keep track of the numbers and the number situation on both teams a bit better, right? When you're up in players, this is incredibly important. You need to be the one that pushes forward and kills like the staggers and people that are still overextended, right? Do not trust your team. You need to be the one that does it yourself, right? I mean, this in some games you can trust your team, but like when your team's worse, for example, like this game, you need to be the one that does it because obviously your team just can't like do it themselves, right? I don't mean this to like badmouth your team, but it's just gonna happen sometimes. Sometimes people have an off mechanics day or something, and they just are losing every single 1v1, no matter like there's not much they can do. But on tank, you have the freedom to pretty much never lose 1v1s if you play your cooldowns well, right? Yeah, I hope this helps.